I'm Gemma, Franchise Relationship Manager at Tezlom. And today I'm joined by the lovely Rachel Fay. Can you tell us where you're from, Rachel?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. I am from Little Learners and also Gated.
Where are you from
Good
as in
stuff.
your business?
Yeah. So I am the franchisor, managing director of Little Learners, which is preschool franchise where we teach children how to write through messy play and lots of fine motor activities and lots of fun ways to learn early writing skills for under fives.
That sounds actually really interesting. I'd like to come back to that as well.
Yeah.
But I would like to start off with how I first met you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I first met you at eWib, and it was my first event because I've only been in the industry for 6 months, and you were the first person speaking on stage, and I kind of just remember sitting back, and you really, the topic you talked about was ADHD, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But as you were on stage, I just remember getting really emotional, and there's loads of things that I connected to you with, but as soon as you finished, couldn't control myself, run over to you and just go, "Hi Rachel, I'm Gemma from Tezlom," and since then, you've had a huge impact on my life, which we haven't even spoke about that yet. And today is not all about me. So
Yeah. It is,
she says.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of want to go back to a little bit at the beginning for you, really. Like, what was school like? Is probably the first question I've got for you. What was school like for you?
So primary school was great. You know, I went to a little Catholic school. I was performing well. Nothing really came out or was present in terms of any sign of ADHD or neurodiversity or anything like that. So that was a lovely time, primary school. I was always the type of child that wasn't very animated. So I struggled to show sort of like, if you can imagine Christmas is coming up, like I really overthought opening presents.
Even at a young age?
Yeah. So if or even opening in front of my mum and dad, and I remember in my mind being happy and buzzing about this present, but just already overthinking when I was handed the gift what emotion is expected from this.
Yeah.
So I always struggled with that. And my mum said that when I was a baby, like, people used to come up to the pram and like be like, "Oh, little Rachel," and I used to be just blank face.
Why are you looking at me?
Just go away, please. And when people talk to me and stuff like that, it wasn't that I wasn't social. I think that I didn't know the reaction that I was meant to give.
Yeah. Did you ever thought the reaction that was expected, like you said, about opening the presents? That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
So primary school was fine, and then secondary school is when I look back now, when it really started to show itself. So I was always quite intelligent. I did my exams, and I did struggle. I left everything to the last minute, like morning of an exam to revise, or leave. I couldn't. When it got the stage at school of doing essays and assignments and stuff like that, I couldn't psych myself up to start that until like the end of it, and I could do it all. That's when my hyper focus like kicked in, and I could do it, but I would beat myself up for leaving it last minute and think, well, why am I like that? And all my friends would be like, "Oh, have you started that assignment?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah."
I'm like this Tixie.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. So yeah, it started and I was cheeky at school. I know you're thinking, obviously, Rachel.
Well, I'm just like,
yeah.
Snap.
Cheeky, and I don't think I misbehaved. I think it was more so, being misunderstood.
Yeah. Was it ever nervous energy, do you think, inside you as well? Coming out in that sense?
Yeah, because I think, as I said before, I obviously knew that I behaved and thought differently to the other kids, but I never. When you speak to a lot of people that have been diagnosed with any sort of neurodiversity later in life, they'll say like, I always knew that I had a different type of brain and things like that. It wasn't that I thought I had a different brain, because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I knew that I do not think the same way as my friends, and I can't do things as easy as them.
Yeah.
And we're talking like everyday life type of things as well, being an absolute chore. So I would end up, you know, there was a couple of times that I skipped school. There was times where, now that we've went back and talked about it, me, my mum and dad, it's very obvious to them. But obviously at the time, well, the early noughties, just there wasn't, I don't know about you, but there wasn't anybody in my school with ADHD.
No, I don't think it was ever talked about.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was almost like a bit of a stigma, and everyone would be, it was very behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Unlike now, it's almost right in your face, isn't it?
Exactly.
But I think it's a great awareness for it to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, when you said you'd leave things to the last minute, like exam study and even just writing your essays, I was exactly the same way in that. And did you ever used to beat yourself up and go, next time, I'm going to do this?
Oh my God.
And you had all the good intentions, but then I'm still like that.
I still do that.
I was going to say, you still like that? Because I feel like...
still do that now.
Yeah.
You know, like awards entries, just deadlines for anything. I will, and it will annoy the rest of my team. I mean, they're used to it now, but I could never start something early. Why would you? In my mind, it's like, why would you start? If that's not meant to be until the end of December...
Why would you start now?
Why would
it's like the Christmas shopping thing.
Yeah.
So you was it on Instagram or something? Was it today? I think I saw.
Yeah.
Like, have you finished your Christmas shopping? No, Susan, I haven't.
Yeah.
Why would you do it in November?
Yeah. And
it's the same thing, isn't it?
It seems to be the thing that people say, like, I think it's not with any malicious intent behind it, is it? But it's quite competitive, and for people with neurodiversity, it can cause quite a bit of stress, because you think that, okay, that is the norm, and you know you haven't done it, but then you're reminded of it, then you beat yourself up again, like what you were just saying before, and it's like a vicious circle, but then you still don't do it, and then multiple people ask you this question. It's not like even if I was out in Southport and somebody would be like, oh,
when you're at the till.
Yeah. Finished? Are you ready for Christmas?
Yeah, it's like that awkward silence, I think, though. It's like when you go to the hairdressers and they go, you booked any holidays this year? I think it's like when you get a taxi, you're on what time you're finishing. Yeah. It's like a question that's there, but for no real purpose. It's like to fill an awkward silence. Yeah. But they don't realise the impact it's probably having on people like you and I.
Exactly.
Because... like you said, it's competitive in a sense, but then you're like, well, what's the value going to get out of whether I am or not ready for Christmas? How does it affect you? Yeah. But that's us overthinking why they're wondering. Yeah. It is just probably a day-to-day question. Yeah. But you and I be like...
Yeah, it triggers
Why haven't I done it? Should I have done it? Who should I have done this for? Who am I pleasing?
Yeah. How many things have you got? But I don't know sometimes whether from some people it is a little bit of... competitiveness for themselves, or a way to, because one person did ask me and then said, oh, thank goodness I haven't done anything either.
It's like self-reassurance.
Yeah, so it might be that, and I don't mind, but just the question just triggers it. But yeah, always left everything at the last minute. And then funnily enough, it wasn't until university, so I actually did all right in my GCSEs. I then stayed on to sixth form and did my A-levels. I think I was on report at one point for something, I can't remember what it was, which is daft, really, 17, 18 years old. Sorry if any of your teachers are watching this. God, I was
They were amazing, right?
Yeah, they were, but yeah, they were. To put up with me when I think back at times. But there was a lot of them that could see a lot in us, and I'll always be thankful of that. And I had always wanted to be a teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher, yeah. From being in primary school, so I would go and help the younger year groups. I would always ask to do like work experience. I did my 16-year-old work experience there, and then just any opportunity that I could to work in a school or help out, I would. And back then, it was really quite competitive to get into primary teaching at university. Everybody wanted to be a teacher, and you needed like top A levels, and I was not on target to get them. And I ended up pretty much failing my A levels. I got D, E, U, and I still got into university. And I think I had, in my mind, I knew that was my main passion. And when I went there to solely focus, because I didn't want to know about psychology, English literature, and philosophy and ethics.
How are you going to apply that to the day-to-day job?
Exactly. It changed a lot now, where you can actually go and do sort of like childcare and then get into university to be a teacher. But back then you had to do A levels, and I was thinking, but I don't. And another thing with ADHD, if you are not interested in that topic, there is no way you can motivate yourself to do it. It is like flogging a dead horse.
Yeah.
So I knew that as soon as I'd got into uni, that I would enjoy it that much, that it would be easier. And I was only a couple of marks off a first degree when I graduated.
Wow.
So it totally flipped.
Just shows you the passion has a huge impact.
Yeah, absolutely loved doing it. So it's sort of, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, me school time, I would say.
I really like that though, because you found your passion. Not many people do, especially at such a young age. So is that how it's kind of led you into what you do now? Because would you mind explaining, just like, what did you do when you did finish university? What was that? What was the next step for you?
Yeah, so as a student teacher, you're always told. I remember the first time I started uni, and we were all sat in the lecture theatre, and the lecturer came out and said, first things first, you are not a student, you're a student teacher. Students are in, a couple of times a week, blah, blah, blah. You're in every day, 9 till 5. You've got placement, you've got this, you've got that. If you want to go out and have a good time, fine, but you need to be in uni every day. So it was quite intense. And for the majority of people on the course, it was find a teaching job straight away after, but it was so competitive. So you had to try and, like, I don't know, either apply for loads of jobs in your local area or really make yourself stand out in some way. No, I didn't do the splits.
I was just going to say, what did you do to
but
stand
I should
out?
have.
You should have done them splits.
Would have got all the jobs. So I'm
guessing it was the latter of the two that you chose to stand out.
Yeah, obviously. I can't remember. I think I ended up going straight on to supply teaching because that was also recommended. I was last minute Sally with my job applications. Like,
really?
People were coming into university like, I've got a job. And I was like, you've applied for jobs already? Like, and they're like, yeah, Rachel, like, and I'm thinking, oh God, but it stressed me a bit, but I still was like, all right. So I ended up going on supply.
It's passion again, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was just thinking then, what's made you do that? And it's passion.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a chore at all. You were naturally doing it without thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So I went on to supply, and then I got a school who loved us and asked us to come back, and then offered me a job, but it was quite a commute from where I lived, so it was about 40 minutes. And I started teaching there, reception, which I absolutely loved. Like, I'm an early years specialist, so that age range is totally me. And I loved it. It was a lovely school, and the kids, I get so attached to the kids as well. Like that, it's, yeah, when you're a teacher, I think people don't realise that it consumes your life. It's not just a job. Like,
you're making such an impact at such a young age, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, you are planning lessons to a lot of different needs and abilities in your class. You are assessing children, you're marking things, you're taking photos, especially in early years, you're writing things, you're spotting. You know, in early years, it's more so like spotting things in terms of interactions with our children. So you're always aware. It's tiring. It's like...
How long did you do that for then?
4 years. So I soon realised I love teaching, but the paperwork and the planning, I'm a winger and I'll say now I'm a good teacher, but teaching has gone down the route of being very, very regimental in terms of planning and assessing and all of that. And it's a shame because teachers aren't able to just be teachers and go in and teach and do what they do best. And I used to just, wing it. And when it came to planning, and I just used to...
It takes a spark off it, doesn't it, really?
Yeah,
Which
just
is a shame.
It did. And then I would go home. And it's not just that side of it. It's also like the care side as well. You're almost... You know, you've got to be aware of the special educational needs aspect of it in your class, and I think I had a lot of children in my class that needed one-to-one support as well. So it was it's a lot to do in a day as well. It's just a lot, and you know, you say everybody's like, oh, you get all these holidays, oh. Why are you complaining?
I've said that sentence in the past,
like
a long time ago, and a lot of my friends are teachers, and I'm not going to cut you off.
No.
I think I've probably done it a few times,
no,
but
you
know what
really
we're
well,
like.
Gemma.
Thanks. Trying really hard to sit.
You've done really well.
Interrupt. But it's, you know, I've been guilty of saying that sentence, and a lot of my friends, my best friends' sisters, are both teachers. It's not what people think to be the case at all.
It's not, and the day, I mean, I would get up, I would have to obviously commute to work and get in I managed to get in before the kids arrived, but sometimes, I mean, it's not like you can be late for the kids all just sitting on the carpet, like.
Here she is, late mark again.
I was close a couple of times, but so I managed to get in, but then I wouldn't be getting in till, especially with having ADHD as well, and if you get into the zone after a school day and you're doing everything, sometimes I would look at the clock and it would be 7 o'clock. And then by the time you get home, so your days are so long. It's not like you come in at 9 and then you clock off when they're gone. No. And then in the holidays, you've got so much paperwork and so much stuff to do to get ready. You even have to go in the classroom sometimes and things like that. So I ended up teaching for 4 years. And then I got pregnant, and the idea of what I wanted to do when I was pregnant was completely different once I had Ollie.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like walking around all pregnant, like, right, I'm going to have this baby, have 3 months with him, and then I'm going to go back full time. Don't understand people that don't go back full time after have kids. Like, all of it, honestly.
I'm laughing because I know so many people who've said
honestly,
the same thing
like,
while pregnant or without kids.
Yeah, and I was quite close, like, I had a good rapport with my children in my classes' parents and would crack on and stuff. And sometimes I think after I had Ollie, there was a couple of them I felt like I needed to reach out to and be like, I feel like I had no grounds to tell you stuff about your kids because I had no idea what it was like to be a parent. So yeah, I thought, right, I'll put them in daycare or, you know, grandparents or whatever, and I'll go back to work because I love being a teacher, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the day that the hospital put Ollie in my arms, I looked at him and I was like,
I'm not leaving
I'm not going back to work. Like, how?
Was it like an instant change?
Instant. I remember, I was just like, no. So I think as time went on when he was little, and everybody loves being a mum. I was obsessed. Like, he was everything. I took him everywhere and we did all sorts. And it got to when he was about 2 months old, I think. He was born in the October, and over the Christmas I started to think, right, Rachel, if you're not going back to work, you're gonna have to think about something. You're gonna have to think of something, because I was the main wage earner at the time, so we relied on my wage coming in to pay the bills and the mortgage and stuff like that. And you can't just decide to. We didn't have the luxury of just deciding, you know, I'll just stay at home. So I had highlighted that a lot of the children in my class at school were just terrified by writing. I mean, terrified. I had quite a high ability child break down in tears one time and call himself a failure because he couldn't form a letter. And this is a 4-year-old.
Felt that then. Yeah.
This is a 4-year-old, and at that time it frustrated me so much.
They shouldn't know what a failure is at that age.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking, like, what?
Yeah, and the pressure. I mean, they've been on this earth 4 years. Like, there's stuff we're still learning about now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But this child is 4 years old, trying their hardest to form a letter, and I just think some of these children have never been exposed to writing tools like crayons, pencils, anything like that at home. Depending on where they live as well, like they don't have access to that, and they're coming into reception and we're saying sit down, pick up a pencil, and it was actually cursive writing I was being made to do with 4-year-olds. And you know me, I'm not the type to like conform with stuff that I'm told to do, so so
not getting that vibe at all, Rach, you know.
I did highlight that I didn't think it was appropriate, and that it could almost...
It sounds really regimented.
Yeah, it could almost put kids back completely when you need to do the fun things, you need to develop you need to just get their fingers moving in a way that isn't, right, pick up and hold this pencil. If you could see how I hold a pencil, it's mental.
Yeah, I hug a pencil.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, mine's like my teacher used to come around and slap me on the hand with a ruler.
But has it ever...
Sorry, teach, but you did.
Has it ever limited your writing ability or life?
Frog legs and all this thing, you just...
Yeah.
I don't do it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you are comfortable holding a pencil in whatever way and you're writing and you're comfortable, who cares? Like, all this, I don't get it. So I was always in arguments about things like that. So one day I sat down, and I remember Ollie was asleep, and I thought, I wonder if I can create a writing program for under 5s that's very visual, that involves like colourful characters and breaks letters down into like the marks. Yeah, the marks that they create. So, for example, we've got, and I should have brought me ended up getting them designed, but I did like really shitty drawings. I'll have to show you them.
Did you do them yourself?
Yeah. But I knew what I wanted in my head.
Yeah, but if you've put something down on paper, you've got a visual for someone who can take... I'm not going to say it's shit, because it obviously develops into something, but you've had something to start with.
Yeah.
I definitely do want to see them, though.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to do, and
it's
I knew...
part of the journey.
Yeah. You'll have to remind me because I'll forget.
Yeah. Gemma, remember this. Good luck with us.
Yeah.
It's like 3 head cases in the room together.
Oh, honestly. So yeah, I sat down and I came up with, and I wanted them to be into categories. So I wanted, if a child was going to form a letter, I wanted them to think of the characters that represented them to help them. So we came up with Lionel the soldier, who represents straight lines, so up and down, side to side. Archie the rainbow, which is curved. So first line they do is like straight, and then they learn how to do a curve. And then Swirlo the magic pot is circle or a swirl, and then Ziggy the monster is a zigzag.
Because all their movements are the components to each letter, aren't they?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That makes sense,
yeah.
actually.
So diagonal line.
I'm understanding
there you go.
Yes.
You've got to get back into like child's brain a little bit with it. But so for example, an H would be Lionel and Archie stuck together. So it's like really, really visual. I don't care about flicks. I don't care about where you start your pencil on the paper, because who cares?
Do you know what? It's interesting you say this, because I've never even thought about it that way, because I don't know about you, but I can imagine the reason we're talking about this is, and you developed this and created it, is because when we were at school, do you remember the tracing papers and the lines you had? You had to, like for a H, you'd do the curl up and down. And then I remember videos going all the way up and down and then round and flick. Yeah. They used to say flick at the end. Yeah. Like, when I write now, I mean, every time I pick a pencil up or a pen, my writing's changed. My handwriting is different each time. Yeah. Every time. But not once in my mind do I think, oh, I must remember the flick. Yeah. And do this.
Or like where I'm starting the letter. You know,
it's like, at what point is someone going to actually monitor you to see where you start that letter? Yeah.
Is Ryan like, you didn't form that H correctly?
I have to proofread his work, so you can imagine like how that goes down. But it's true though, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, we don't write, as an adult, you don't write so much, but I do like pen to paper. Yeah, I write lists for lists purposes of having lists, but that's another thing. But just going back to the handwriting side, no one's actually going to be stood over you to see where you put that pen to the point to paper, to see how you start to write that letter. Yeah,
and it just seems daft that we're focusing so much on that for children instead of just putting our energy into making them enjoy writing and not be terrified of it and think, oh, I know that, you know, that's just a straight line and I've aced a straight line. I can do a curve, I can do a zigzag and I can do a circle. So when I developed that, if a child can do all 4 of those marks, they're the marks that are made up of, you know, letters are made out of them, numbers are shapes. So if they can do those 4 marks, they can write. Yeah. You know, so the energy needs to be on, you know, creating opportunities for them to make those marks in a fun way with like pencils, paint, their fingers, you know, messy play, things like that.
No matter how you do it, it's the end result.
Exactly.
In a sense.
Yeah. So I created that and then looked at it and I was like, you know, we were speaking about this yesterday, weren't we? When we're like, when you look at something, you're like, oh, it's pretty good. I'm pretty good, aren't I? That was one of those. That was one of those
self-acknowledgement.
Yeah, where I was like, oh, Rachel, like, I think you want a winner.
Right. Saying this self-acknowledgement, how on earth do you put that into a business?
Yeah, so I didn't know where I was going with it. I knew there was this thing. I was just sat on the apartment floor thinking, all right. I was on maternity pay and it was shocking. I had nothing. But I decided, and again, now I know that this was my ADHD, because I'm a risk taker, and it comes quite easy to me. I think for other people, they couldn't understand why and how I could just make a decision like, are you just going to leave teaching? And what, you've just scribbled some characters on a piece of paper that you've ripped out your book and now you're like, starting a business. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, have you seen what I've created? And they're like,
they just don't know what's up here. Yeah.
So there's like a feeling that I get when I know that I need to, like a fire in my belly where I know I need to explore it and I couldn't not. And I had been attending a couple, the preschool activity market, like the kids activity industry wasn't as vast as it is now when Ollie was little, but I had started to go to some little classes with him and stuff, and I thought, I wonder if I can develop the program that I've created in a class like that for under 5, so that we'll get in there early and get the children doing it when they're babies, toddlers, before they start school, so that when they reach school age, they're like so much more confident. Because let's be real, I know we're saying it shouldn't be like that in school, but it's not going to change. No. Like that's the curriculum. Yeah. That's what we're taught to do.
It's a massive whale.
Yeah.
It's too big.
Yeah, so we're going to have to do something beforehand. So I thought that, you know, if children then attended Little Learners and they'd been exposed to it and they knew the writing program. And also I wanted to create something that could be continued at home, like a program that could be continued at home as well. So yeah, I actually paid an illustrator to do the characters, which everyone was like, yeah, like, I know. Everybody was like, okay, so you're not going to pay that bill this month because you're getting some characters illustrated. But to me, it was like, well, yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because I need them. I can't.
You're identifying your own weaknesses and your strengths.
I can't be standing in front of parents showing them my lined paper.
This is a line.
Yeah, like
there's more to
drawings. So I got that done, and I thought, right, let's give it a go. And I thought, if I can, I know how mark making and early writing should be taught in early years, and that's through messy play and sensory stuff and touch and making marks in sand and gloop and paint and fine motor activities like threading, even like threading, you know, a Cheerio onto a bit of spaghetti, like using a pincer grip and things. So I went over to my local leisure centre and just said, look, I've got this idea. Can you lend us your room? And I'm going to do a taster session for like the local parents. And I put out a post and I just said, does anybody want to come for free to this class? I'm starting a business. I don't know how it's going to go, but I would love your feedback, because I didn't really know how it was going to be received. And it was jam-packed. Like, I had far too many people there. Now I'm not thinking about it.
And how did you handle that, though?
It was a bit of... This is the thing with ADHD. You don't fully think things through. So you take risks and you...
Like this. I'm joking.
Yeah. Yes. Can we delete this, please? You don't... No. You take the risk. You've got that fire in your belly, but sometimes the planning element isn't there.
Were you still not aware of your ADHD fully at this point as well?
I had no idea. But now it seems so obvious, like so obvious.
Yeah.
So I was running around and like everybody was saying it was great, and I was exhausted, and I was thinking, oh, what have I created here? And then people were emailing me saying, are you going to put a term on? You know, my friend lives in Newcastle, is there a Newcastle class? And I was like, this is the first ever one.
Wow.
And it snowballed that much within weeks that I was getting inquiries from other places in the UK, assuming that I was a franchise already.
Did you know what franchises were at the time?
Nah.
I was like,
no.
It sounds like your product created itself around you.
Yeah.
But no, I want to hear more because it's like blowing my brains how it's developed.
I didn't. I knew like Matty D's was a franchise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But, I mean, like, would you think this could be something like that? And you saying it's like Starbucks and Domino's. I get that, but I didn't think for something so.
Yeah.
With greatest respect at the time, something so small. You think could this product?
Yeah.
Would someone else be able to do it?
Had no idea how to scale it, how to grow it, and I thought, it's all good and well, there's all this demand, but how am I going to, you know, I've got a 3-month-old baby and now I've started this thing that everybody wants. I can't, like, do I hire staff? Do I get employees around the country? Like, I really did not know. And then I got speaking to a very good friend of mine now, Angela from Lingo Top, and she sort of talked to me about franchising and what she'd done, and she helped me loads. Like, she's the loveliest, sweetest person ever, and she's got a lot of time for people, and we were in the same industry. Do you know what I mean? Technically, so she was actually helping some new person come
into
on board.
Her world.
Yeah, which is odd but great. Like, I'm glad of it now.
It's quite unheard of. We spoke about that yesterday as well.
Say,
the industry it's so different.
Yeah, and it can feel competitive. It can feel cliquey at times. And she just made me feel like my idea was valued, and it was, because also you have a bit of a doubt in your head, like, okay, and now I know about franchising stuff, but is it? My mind's thinking, did you feel like you almost were you worthy of it? That's what I mean, yeah. That's what I thought, because it was brand new. I knew it was good. I knew the feedback was amazing, but I was thinking, like, it sounds
like, come on,
big.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm saying I thought that, it probably was like for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then you
before
like, let's
franchise.
Let's go.
Yeah, literally. So I took the leap, and while I was on maternity leave, I ended up doing a couple of other classes in the northeast and sort of testing the waters there, and then 9 months later, I franchised.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, quite quickly.
Because that's not a long time.
No, it's
at
not.
All.
It's not. And I
You've
wouldn't.
not even done a full year.
I wouldn't really advise that these days.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Risks.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we attracted to these red flags?
Exactly.
In every, many aspects of life.
Many aspects.
We will not talk about this today. We are keeping this to not a full day session. Honest.
So yeah, it was a risk, and I don't know, it felt right, and I just went for it and had
It's
that.
not work, is it?
And at the end of the day, I was also 24. Like, I was only 24, and I thought, like...
I haven't even considered that fact.
Can you be a franchisor 24?
Like, to say you can't?
Well, I did.
Yeah, that's true. The biggest
now
judgment in the
I'm
mind
over
is you.
30, I think I'm, like, classed as...
Don't you dare.
Over the...
No. Over the arch.
Yeah.
No.
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 That's fine, I'm still young. But back then, I was like, what am I... what...
It is a really young age, though.
Yeah, so I was learning to be a mum, bear in mind. So within my first year of being a mum...
I'm smiling because I'm thinking ADHD behaviour.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or
Not
don't
just
do
one
one
thing.
thing at the time. Exactly. Learning to be a mum, learning to have my first business, run my first business with a baby in tow, and learning to franchise all in the same year. And it's like, oh, that's not enough for me. Like,
What else can I throw at myself?
yeah, exactly.
Did you move house?
Yeah, like whatever you want, like just bring it on. And I always take on too much, always. And I think now that I know that awareness is there, and we've talked a lot about awareness and things, and that's why I've started my my Instagram and things like that to just spread that awareness. But I loved every second of it, and I realised that I had created something I was still passionate about.
Yeah.
Something that worked in terms of teaching children those early writing skills, and I was then able, because people started saying, oh, that's great that you've created, because you can spend more time with Ollie. I wish, because I have a lot of teacher friends, I wish I could do that. I've got to go back to work and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, you're my target audience.
Yeah.
So like ex-teachers, childcare workers, professionals that maybe have had a baby and don't want to go back to work but want to still be in the field of education.
They're still passionate. Their passion doesn't change just because they've had a child.
Yeah, but they can have a flexible career that they can work around their family. And so not only was I had like two aims, I had two purposes: to teach children how to write in a fun way and to create the same opportunity that I created for myself for other people. And naturally people started to attract over to it. Then give it a couple of years and then thought, let's go to Australia.
Well, well, you did tell me, I say, but for the benefit of this, how many franchisees have you got now?
Over 30. Don't know, like,
that in itself is
over
huge.
30 all over the UK.
Do you realise that's mega?
Yeah, no, I don't, Gemma. We're talking
You're
about
mega,
this.
Rachel.
I know, I don't. I don't often, like, I just, and I love them. They are, like, my network are loving and caring and, like, open and honest, and I always try to bring on board people with the same values as us and
like-minded people.
Authentic people as well, because you've got to know with business, as you know, that you get what you get out what you put in, and it's hard work. I don't pretend that it's easy, but they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and they know they can always come to me with new ideas. And we're still fairly, we'll be 8 in January, so we're still fairly new, and all I want to do is develop all the time, so I listen to the franchisees all the time. So over 30 in the UK, and then
I need to, you know what, that thing where you've got something burning in your head, you have to say it or you're going to forget it. You just said, oh, I know, Australia.
I know.
I mean, of all the places, typical.
No, I know.
Oh, I'll go to the furthest point in the world.
Yeah, I know. Why?
How did that start?
I
I'm laughing because it's just so
it is,
typical.
it is. And you know, people have asked me about it, expecting, I don't know why they expect a serious answer. Like I had some sort of plan in place. But
Why not would be my answer.
But I'm
Why
just
not?
like, well, I just got on a plane to Australia, like I literally did. So
you just got on the plane.
yeah,
Sorry,
so
go.
I think we had things were picking up, and brand awareness was increasing, and we were getting inquiries from the US, and it just piqued my interest a bit because I thought, well, I don't know, I'm only still just getting to know what franchising is in the UK, but yeah, could I go to the US? Like, could I go over and like franchise in New York, like Little Learners, and it's
Yeah,
like,
let's not just pick little towns. We'll go to
it's
New York.
not,
We'll
it's
go
like,
to Australia.
yeah, it's
I
running
love it
running away with my mind, like, easy, can do that easy, right? Yeah, I'll go
There's
over
kids
it,
in these
I was
cities.
going to say, like, yeah, love it. But obviously there's more to it, and I know that now. So I had a little look into it. I got in touch with somebody had put me in touch with the Department of International Trade, and I spoke to them about it, and he was lovely, that who came out to see us, John. He used to come and have a cup of tea at my mum's house, and we're talking, and we're quite quickly ruled out the US because it's really, really difficult in terms
Regulations
of
for anything
franchising.
over there is difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially for a low cost sort of lifestyle franchise, it's not, wouldn't really be financially viable. So, and then he literally just sat back in the chair and was like, "You ever thought of Australia?" And I was like, "No, why? Like, should I?" And he was just like, "Well,
I am now."
yeah, that was it. Australia was burnt into my brain. And he was like, "Well, you know, very similarly cultured to the UK rather than the UK and the US." And he says, "I suspect that the market isn't as saturated as it is in the UK." And he was like, "You know, we've got, if you wanted to go over and do a research trip and like find out, we've got some match funding and stuff like that." So I was like, yes. And
I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah, I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
When can I go? Went over. Ollie was 3, and the flight was very interesting. Again, don't know how I thought in my head that it was going to be doable with a 3-year-old, but
You didn't, that's why.
yeah, I know.
We know this now.
Yeah, so went over, we did a baby show. I was just talking to people, and like people on the streets, because we just talk to anybody, don't we?
Yeah,
Like,
and you are your biggest asset.
yeah,
Even though you sometimes don't see it.
exactly, well, yeah. And like, so I was just talking, was going to children's centres and libraries and stuff like that, and just scoping out the market, and there was not there wasn't the amount of, you know, kids activities that we've got. And I just thought, right, while I'm here, I'm going to do some free discovery days in from my hotel. So I'd hired this little room, and I just blasted marketing across like social media and just telling people in the streets,
Please come and see me.
"Do you want to buy my business?"
If you got a kid, bring it.
Literally.
If you don't, find one.
Literally. Well, you're laughing, but that is it.
I'm like relating to exactly how it's gone down. You.
Literally, yeah, come
Yeah.
with me, bring your child. So we, so I'd marketed, I sort of used video content of the classes and stuff from the UK, and my first discovery session that I had booked, it was fully booked. I did it on sort of Eventbrite, and it was free tickets, so I knew people might not turn up, but I sat there and it was at 10 o'clock. For some reason, I did it the day after I arrived, so I was jet lagged, and I was just sitting there.
Getting a pattern here.
And nobody turned up. And I was sat there, and I could feel my eyes filling up, and I was thinking, why, Rachel? Did you think you could go to the other end of the world and get people to buy your business? Like, nobody knows who you are. Like, it was a moment where overthinking. That was like, we spiral, and I know we've talked about RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, and stuff like that, and sometimes there's trigger, and then that's it, was spiraled. And I remember getting my notepad out. It's dead cheesy and weird because I'm not really like this, but I wrote in big letters across the week, like, don't give up.
Yeah.
And I closed it, and then I went back. I was like, no one turned up to that, but it's fine.
They didn't know who you were.
Yeah, I was like, I'm here for 2 weeks. I'm going to mark it again. I'm just going to like blast it out and just see what I can get. And then I had a really full session the next time. But I don't know what I had done in the marketing, but I had made it sound like it was a class. So everybody brought their kids. So in this tiny room in a hotel, I had like people bring their kids, and I'm like, and obviously I'm in Australia, I had brought some stuff, but I couldn't bring loads. So I had to quickly like run into the room and like try and create a class. And I was singing with them, and we were doing like ribbons, and we got the crayons out, and we were doing, and I was doing it, and everybody there didn't think it was a franchise opportunity discovery day. Everyone thought it was a class for the kids. So I had to, in effect, do that, even though I knew I wasn't going to get anything from it, and for free.
Yeah.
And then one of the girls, Jess, who came with her 2 kids, emailed us just as I was stepping on the plane to go home with just want to say thank you so much for that class. Like, the kids absolutely loved it. I had no idea that you were wanting somebody over here. I have no idea where I'm going to get the money from, but please, can I be your first franchisee?
I just got chills.
And
my
I
hairs on my head.
And I was like, oh my God.
It's like a film. You just got on the plane.
Yeah, and I loved her as well, and I still do. She's absolutely amazing over there, and she's so passionate. We're little messy learners over there, but she's now an area developer for Victoria, so she, pretty much what you do, like trying to find other franchisees, and she's my biggest cheerleader, and she's just amazing. So the fact, and I did not expect to get my first franchisee going on that research trip. I just wanted to see I was giving it a good go, because why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But wasn't expecting that. So signed her, and went back 3 months later, again with Ollie, to see her launch a class. And while I was there, I went over to Perth this time and did a discovery day there, and found my second franchisee. So so I haven't been back over since. I feel like I need to go. I feel like I'm overdue.
I'll come with you.
Yeah, let's go.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
because that's happened really quick.
Yeah.
As well, and I know you said you didn't go over to expect to get your first one, but
no,
you did.
Yeah.
And then you got another.
Exactly, and I think that.
How long ago was that? Sorry.
That was 2018, I think.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I hadn't have done that before the pandemic, I'm not sure I would have went over to Australia. In fact, I definitely wouldn't have yet.
No.
Because obviously that was, and I don't want to talk about pandemic anymore, do we? But that was hard.
Not giving it any airtime.
I was going to say that was hard in that when we were locked down, they weren't, and then when we came out, Australia were behind, so they were locked down. So I had like my UK franchisees that were getting a bit better in their mindset, and then the Aussies would go down. So the only thing I didn't think through, well, not the only thing I didn't think.
Well, I just kind of like, look, would you like this to go? Yeah.
Was
we don't think things through.
Oh, yeah. So if I don't get up in the morning and put my energy in Australia, they're in bed.
Yeah.
So they're in bed all day when I'm up, and then, or I can stay up late and have Zooms with them and stuff. But they are so amazing as well, so amazing, all of them. And they just get on.
So that's fab. 2018. I'm just going to completely change the subject a little bit. So at this point in 2018, where were you on your ADHD journey?
Nowhere, I had no idea. So only found out this year.
Was it? See, I didn't know that.
March.
And you were on stage.
I got diagnosed.
This year, talking the way you did.
Yeah, I got diagnosed in March. You need to
take a step back, lady.
I know.
I know. Do a little board and go, I've done this. No. Wow.
Yeah, I know. So I just it was a lot. It's just been a lot to take in 1 year. You know, like, because yes, when people get diagnosed, it's a huge relief.
I'm scared. I haven't gone yet.
Yeah.
I'm putting it off. I'm doing that thing.
There's nothing to be scared of, because I think then you get like validate. Like, it's very validating.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you've got a reason for the way that you are. And it is uplifting. I did feel like that there was a weight off my shoulders, but what followed was a journey of naturally going back through all of your life and being like,
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I was struggling there. I was struggling at that time, and I had to go through it on my own. And I was, you know, I mean, my mum and dad were always amazing, you know, but they're not psychiatrists. They weren't to know that.
I know you say they're really supportive, but has anyone ever said to you, what's wrong with you?
Oh, all the time.
I've had a supportive people around me, but that's not supporting comment. I'm sorry, that's off
because
piece,
when you get your 30s, Gemma, and you're still making the same mistakes, people are like,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong? But what people don't understand is we're frustrated with it. That you don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again, and things that neurotypical people that don't have a neurodiversity, like autism, ADHD, and dyslexia.
Even just hear you describe that, it's exhausting to explain the different varieties that are there, because we didn't have that back then.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about EWIB again. When I saw you that day, and I ran over to you, the fear that I had straight off was my very first question, really, to you. You'd spoke on stage on the first year you got diagnosed. I'm just reminding you. Superpowers.
Yeah.
So when you spoke about these superpowers, my fear that it's still there, and I know there's going to be a lot more conversations between you and I, I'm sure, so warning you now.
Yeah.
Is that fear of losing that superpower. I said to you, will it change my personality? Yeah. Because I'm okay, I'm cool with who I am.
Yeah.
And I've said this to you. But it's just, I don't know how I'm going to reassure and convince myself, but where I was going with that, I'm going off piece to my own head. There's like 50 million conversations. Yeah. I'm back in that room listening to the conversations already. Yeah. Where we're at the table, but just to bring it back in line with what we're talking about, which is a struggle. It really is.
I've got, I know where you're going with it.
When I said to you, what happens? Do you lose yourself, who you are, your superpower? Yeah. Because those superpowers make us how you've got to where you are. Yeah. Got me where I am. It's why we're here right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no is the answer. Like I was saying before, it is one hell of a journey where you've got to go back through your past, and that's really quite emotional because it's not like that all that happens in a day. Like, it's still happening for me. This is my first year being diagnosed, so I'm still, or my mum will say, oh, that explains so much about that time in your life, or that explains why you behave like that, or what that, or, you know, when we were talking about the fear of judgment and rejection and what people think of us and things like that, like, all that's starting to make a lot more sense, and it's a lot to take in. So that journey in itself's hard, but it almost makes me more aware of my super skills. I'm not going to say superpowers, because I think it's that it's been battered around quite a lot in
you're right.
Neurodiversity.
Some, like, super skills.
No, definitely. And I think that, and I made a point of that at EWIB, didn't I? Saying, you know, we do have super skills, but we can't choose when. I can't even talk. We can't choose when to use them. You know what I mean?
Can't choose when
that
to
was
use
so
them.
Good, wasn't it? We can't just like activate it.
I'm going to choose that one today.
Yeah, you know, things like hyperfocus and things like that just come.
You said on stage, don't know which one we're going to activate, because the word activate.
Yeah, we can't.
Is there?
Because a superpower, if somebody like came up with you in the street, you were Spider-Man. I don't know why I'm going with this.
You put a cape on and be like, "This is me."
Or you would just shoot your web out and just go and fly out a building. But you can't be like, right, hyper focus time. Like,
let's go.
You can't.
Fire eyes.
You can't do that. But
is fire eyes even a thing? It is now.
Yeah, let's make it a thing. It depends, and you don't have to always go down the route of medication after diagnosis.
I think, do you know,
you just automatically think,
yeah, you go to the doctors, you talk to them about this, and they ram medication into you.
Yeah,
that's something I've never ever accepted. I've never gone, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. I've always pushed back.
Yeah,
and I think, why would this be any different? I'll push back naturally.
Yeah,
and explore different avenues.
Yeah, I was the same.
Anything to stop feeling exhausted.
Yeah, I was terrified, like you said, that it was going to take away my personality, and the stuff about myself that I did like, or more so what other people told me they liked about me, but I didn't accept.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was working for something, but it got to a point for me with the overwhelm where it was just too much. My mind, juggling, being a mum, business owner, franchise, 2 countries. Like, there was times, and it doesn't help that we're the type of person that, like, puts more things on ourselves, like, signs up for more things when it's like, no, just focus on what you're doing. Yeah. Where it's a constant state of overwhelm, and I knew that I was the type of person that wasn't going to stop doing that. So I knew, and there's therapy, and I do have a therapist as well. Same. I see my therapist every single week, and that is a great chance for us to talk through, and that awareness as well. And I'm noticing triggers before that happen, which is progress. I'm not listening to them. I'm still letting it happen. Yeah. But at least I'm like, this is going to happen.
It's like when you're listing your overwhelming things, that's like green flag.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, I know like, it's going to happen. But at least I'm aware now. It was just happening. But now I'm like, okay, I'm getting overwhelmed. And I could not try the medication. Yeah. Because I had done a lot of research on it, a lot of reading up about stimulants and non-stimulants. And it's a journey where you have to trial things as well. Like, not everything works for everyone, and sometimes it doesn't agree with you at all.
What's nice as well, we're not on our own in this. There's so many people in the same position. Yeah. There's loads of people in your position who's go through that beginning of the journey. There's loads of people who are probably slightly frustrated and nervous and scared and all these other emotions that are running riot right now. Yeah. It's scary. It's just getting on with it. It's like that. Yeah. Eat the frog, as they say.
Yeah, it's scary. And even, like, when I got the medication and you start on, like, a lesser dose, and I was telling you when I went in the shower, like...
That's when I sat up. Yeah. I cried at that.
I was so emotional at the fact I remembered washing my hair, and I know now you're going to make reference to your hair.
You washed your hair today, mate?
Had a bad hair day today, let's just get that out.
Or yesterday.
Don't usually look like this, that's a lie. But I would usually go in the shower and have that many things in my mind that wouldn't even know that I was... It's really hard to explain, but when I took that first medication, I put the shampoo on my hand, felt it, like was putting it in my hair, and then washed it out, and then stepped out the shower, and I was like, I've just washed my hair. Because that was all I remembered doing.
Silence, almost.
Yeah, the noise. The biggest thing for me is that the noise has decreased massively. And even that in itself helps me to focus in other areas. But, I've had friends know us all my life, and even people in the industry, and I don't think that I've changed. My personality's changed because of that. But I do think there's lots of aspects of my personality and my self-doubt and my self-worth that's developed because of the journey that I've went on. Yeah. So a positive thing, because I would never have done this.
It positive.
I would never have done this last year. Yeah. Never done a podcast. I've never got on video before. People think that I'm confident, and I don't mind saying this and that. And people have always said, oh, Rachel, you not have a problem with that, will you? Because you're this and you're that. And I'm like, why do you never see me on camera?
Conversations today.
Yeah, you never see me on camera. I won't speak out. Also, another thing, I can now say a full sentence without forgetting what I'm talking about. So quite often...
I'm doing that too because brain fog thing.
It's horrible because you instantly think you sound like an idiot, and you know what words you're going to say and you need to say, and the vocabulary and the meaning and whatever you're trying to put out. But sometimes our overthinking brain ends up, and you know it's happening as well. You're like, you're midway through a sentence and you're already thinking, I'm forgetting this sentence, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've done...
That's why we have to get it out.
I've done one podcast years ago and I never did another one again because I came out and I just felt like everything that I tried to say about me and my business, I sounded like an idiot. I couldn't get my words out. I was forgetting. I kept going, I'm so sorry, like, I've forgotten what I was saying. And they were going, it's okay. And then I would start talking again and get into it and I'd be like, totally forgotten.
And there's another 10 voices in your head.
Yeah. Or I would go off on
Negative.
another subject.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we do that all the time, but it's like, right,
yeah. Like
over
we said,
to that.
What, we had 85 topics to discuss yesterday in 3 hours. We did it, we smashed it.
We did it, and when you're with other...
like-minded people.
Exactly, it doesn't matter, you go with the flow, but I think sometimes for somebody who's like, oh, we're on something else now.
They're like, what?
Yeah, so that's a massive thing. I actually remember what I'm saying, which has then enabled me to feel more confident to do podcasts and do my live videos on Instagram and stuff like that. And the main thread is that I'm now able and more proud to be me, like my authentic self.
Yeah.
And there was quite a lot of shame before. And now, and shame creeps in because that's a huge thing with ADHD, but now I'm like, actually, this is me. Like, this is how I am. I know me stuff. This is what I'm doing. You know, I've got the right people around me. I attract the right people that are similar. That's all you need. And like we've said quite a lot, if I'm not your type of person, fine.
Unfollow me.
You know what I mean? Yeah, fine.
Leave my circle.
But if I can help you in any way, because we'll talk about helping people all the time and like love, like getting a lot of value from being there for people and for nothing in return and things like that, and being that caring, genuine
I'm so grateful
person.
for you being here today.
Yeah.
The intention wasn't just about me.
Yeah, no, obviously.
It's just, I gravitate to you so much. It was like with Kay yesterday, the three of us, like-minded people, it was going to go one way or another.
Yeah, I know.
Complete off-piece.
Exactly.
But I do want to ask you, it's one question, but there's two aspects to it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you what's next for Rachel Faye and what's next for Little Learners. So I'm going to ask you both them questions in one go.
That is massive.
Just to blow your brains.
Do you think I'm planning now? Like, you think I'm medicated? I'm
that's
suddenly
why I
just
kind
planning
of
what
my
my next
you
step.
Off piece a little bit.
Well,
what's next for Rachel?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm continuing to grow Little Learners, and I think that I'm ready to go into a sort of new direction with it as well, in terms of the early writing program in schools, and we're developing quite a lot of things in terms of that, and I really need to now switch my focus a bit. So there's that, which is exciting. But for me, I'm enjoying like speaking out a bit more, you know, because I am quite disruptive, and I enjoy that because I think that we need more real people that are just being raw and being themselves. And if I can speak on something like this, and even when you're talking about EWIB, and make you have some sense of, I don't know, feeling like you can be yourself, and you can love yourself.
It wasn't that it just made me be myself. It made you gave me answers to this. Don't even know how to how to explain it. See, I struggle even trying to speak now. I'm doing that thing. You gave me answers to questions I hadn't even asked myself.
Yeah.
I just sat there and I was going, tick, tick,
Yeah.
tick. And I was going, oh my God, my head's falling off. I was like, that's why I've been this way.
Yeah.
I thought everyone thought like me.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I thought this is how it is. It's not oxymoron in some sense because I've always been aware, like you said, something's different.
Yeah.
Got the same brain, but am I overthinking? And
Yeah.
we could go on for another
Because
hour about that.
why would you think that you thought any
just
differently?
gave me reassurance.
You just think everyone's brain is a brain.
Yeah.
Why would you think that you would be thinking?
And you don't really go, there's something wrong.
Yeah, but bear in mind, Gemma, I was a teacher and I used to spot signs in children, and it took me till 32 to be like, So, yeah, I want to use what I found out and discovered about myself to spread awareness, because I think it's needed, because I think there's a hell of a lot of women who, especially men too, but women are going misdiagnosed and undiagnosed the majority of their lives. And the reason that we're hearing more and more about it is because there's women at all different stages of their lives getting diagnosed at the same time. Because that's what happens when awareness increases, you know, and it's a good thing. We don't want people to struggle through life. So I want to continue doing that, and I want to continue to speak out about it and just...
I call it removing the stigma.
Yeah,
there's
remove
lots
the
of
stigma.
topics that I'm going to breach, and I hope through this channel like this is just raising that awareness that it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and and if we're able to be more vulnerable more often, like there's a hell of a lot of power in vulnerability. A hell of a lot of power.
Even your name on Instagram, the ADHD franchisor, I mean, you do what you say on the tin, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
That is literally what I do. Exactly.
And
I struggled with it. I overthought about that name for
I can imagine.
a long time. Then I just thought, whatever.
No, but it's a powerful statement in itself.
Yeah. But, I think just keep on keeping on and, keep going out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because that's where the growth is.
Good. Well, I'm going to say thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
And we'll do this together. We'll spread the awareness.
This was a really good first one for you.
And for us.
Wiggling. I'm wiggling. Oh, God.
Well, it's going to be the first of many of us as well, because there's so much more.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, thank you.